To make autism understand simpler, the International Classification of Diseases and DSM-5 criteria together have made the definition of autism very simple to understand, and we are making it very lucid so that it will be easy for anyone to understand what is autism. We just have to remember that there are two groups of symptoms in autism. A is absent symptoms, B is behavioral symptoms. Absent symptoms which are not seen, behavioral symptoms that are easily seen. So most of the times when an autism child comes to a doctor, is already having behavioral symptoms. So what do you mean by absent symptoms? Absent symptoms is there is a deficit or delay in development or maybe persistent inability of something. So what is that something? There are three major points in deficits. One is social emotional reciprocation. Social and emotional reciprocation. Second is non-verbal communication. Non-verbal communication including eye contact. And third is understanding, developing and maintaining relationships. These three things cannot be easily seen unless we observe the child, unless we ask the question, because these are not positive symptoms, these are absent symptoms. That's why there are 8 types of symptoms. So what is absent in a child, what is deficient in a child, what is delayed in a child, what is lagging in a child is social emotional reciprocation, non-verbal communication including eye contact, and understanding, observing and maintaining relationship. So if a child is having all these 3 points absent, or all these 3 points there, and all this development is absent, then the child is having a social communication delay. So a social communication deficit. Any delay which lasts for more than 3 months is definitely a deficit. So there is nothing or no way that this child will be considered normal and it will settle on its own. So when you have a social communication deficit along with behavioral symptoms, it forms the major chunk of the must criteria for autism. So B group of symptoms are behavioral symptoms, repetitive, restrictive behaviors, repetitive, restrictive patterns, repetitive, restrictive interests or repetitive, restrictive activities. Any 2 of these types along with main parts of the absent symptoms, all of the absent symptoms has to be there. That means affected understanding, affected communication, affected emotional and social reciprocation. If it is affected along with any 2 behavioral symptoms, it satisfies closer to autism spectrum disorder diagnosis. So the behavioral symptoms are of 2 types. One is stereotyped or repetitive action behaviors, object behaviors, speech behaviors. So using action, object or speech in the same fashion all the time, if noted by most of the parents, it's very common in most of the autism kids, one of the key principles of autism diagnosis. Second behavioral pattern is insisting of sameness, rigidities, inflexible routines, and having a specific ritual or pattern, being stubborn, keeping things in the same way, insisting for the same walk, insisting for the same route, doing the same things, wearing the same shirt. Or in other words, we can say that refusal to change is again becomes one of the repetitive behavioral pattern. Third repetitive behavioral pattern is restricted, fixed interest of highly abnormal intensity. So it's not passion, it's obsession towards doing something or the other thing, or playing with some object or the shape or something else becomes a restricted unusual pattern, and that again becomes a repetitive behavior. And the fourth one, repetitive behavior, is related to hypo or hyperactivity to sensory input, which we call it as a unusual sensory behavior. And the sensory input depends upon the senses of various sensory systems, including touch, pain, temperature, vestibular sense, gut sense, including sense of smell, sense of action, sense of perception, sense of proprioception, sense of having common sense. All these things will be resulting in a hypo or hypersensory behavior, and this all can become a part of the autism. So when you have A, absent symptoms, all of them, and B, repetitive symptoms, only any 2 of them, usually we are moving towards a diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder, to which there are 3 other criteria. We call it as A, B, C, D, E criteria. A is for absent symptoms, B for behavioral symptoms, C is symptoms should be there in early childhood, that is age-based criteria, and D is symptoms are significantly causing deficit in social, occupational or scholastic environment, and E is there exclusively without any other reason for the same. So A, B, C, D, E criteria is A is absent symptoms, B is behavioral symptoms, C is in the childhood age, and D is causing significant deficit affecting the daily social or maybe school related behavior or occupational behavior, and E being exclusively not explainable by any other cause. So when a child has these symptoms, there is no running away from diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder. So what name we give doesn't matter. We just know the child is not able to sense us socially, emotionally, interact with us, reciprocate with us, react to us, communicate with us, or develop a relationship, or is having many repetitive restrictive activities or sensory activities. We just need to tackle them. It's very common for anyone who develops a symptoms, even an adult, suddenly you find that an adult is not socially and emotionally reciprocating. He is not non-verbally and verbally communicating. And if he is not maintaining a relationship, you are developing an autistic behavior. And when such behavior develops, you end up developing repeated actions, restrictive behaviors, and getting into ritualization. And that is what is the development which is occurring into the autism kids. Now, why does it occur? Because now autism child is born, the child is supposed to be born normal with the capacity of the development of multiple connections, around 1,000 connections per second for first 1,000 days of life. When a baby is born, the hardware is born. This software is to develop by development of the use of various senses and sensory systems throughout after birth for the first years of age. And this sensory development factory is affecting autism due to genetic reasons or the perinatal reasons or trauma related reasons or anything. It doesn't matter why it has occurred. It only matters that it has occurred and it needs to be reinstated. And just because child is not able to sense the environment the way it is, child definitely develops these kind of symptoms. There are some children who till the age of 18 years develop some symptoms, and these symptoms some normal development, and this normal development in some children till the age of 18 to 22 months is mainly related to these connections which are formed before the birth. And those children who had issues with the forming these connections in the early pregnancy, definitely they will be having social and connection related issues immediately from the birth. So it's very important to understand that even if the child had some development till the age of 18 months, after 18 months child has regressed, is become to the zero stage of the sensory development. We really need to reinstate the connections again and develop the child's social emotional communication systems by forming more and more connections. This was regarding the definition of the autism spectrum disorder. Now, second part of the definition comes is the level of the severity. Many parents and people get very scared and very anxious and paranoid regarding the level of the severity. We just have to remember that whatever may be the level can be changed with the efforts. People used to use the word mild, moderate, severe in the past, but now it is used as level 1, level 2, and level 3. In simple words, it's easy to understand that level 1 is hardly requiring any support, level 2 requires some support, level 3 requires total support from the caretakers. That means level 3 is totally dependent, level 2 is partially dependent, and level 1 is partially independent. So it's such a simple to understand. But what we need to understand that this level is not permanent. Any level can be changing. Today the child is independent. Yes, he can become more independent in next few months of efforts. If today the child is independent, if the child is neglected and he may not be given proper therapies or he may get lost into the skill-based learning, definitely he may become non-communicating or maybe at a higher severity level in due course. So it's very important that we really need to know that level can be changing with the efforts and actions or with the medicines and the therapies. Again, levels are required only for giving the certificate primarily after the age of 18 years of age, because till 18 years of age there is a significant chance to change the level with the help of the efforts. So do not run for the certificate or do not run for the severity of the level. Just understand that my child has what is the symptom and what is absent and what is present symptom, and then what is the level right now and how I can rapidly revert to a near normal level soon.